I grew up in India where I came from a Muslim family where women were meant to be seen and not heard. So even though I do this really often, I still can't believe that people want to hear me speak and sometimes pay to hear me speak. And the first time somebody said there will be a fee of £150, I said, who should I make the cheque payable to? So it's really, really nice. Now, I'd really like to, it's been a really interesting week. About 3 years ago, I was invited to Cambridge to give what they call the Global Leaders Lecture. And I thought, why have they invited me? I'm not a global leader, but of course I was very happy to go along. And one of the things I always do wherever I go is I take my wok and I plug it in after I speak and make spicy Bombay potatoes in 5 minutes. So that if I've screwed up my speech, at least the potatoes will save me. But today I haven't brought it in here. But when I went into Cambridge, and there were 193 students, and they all came from different parts of the world, I thought nobody will come to hear me speak, because the month before me was Bob Diamond of Barclays, and the month after me was the head of Vodafone. But my potatoes did the trick, and actually all these hungry people said, you're just like our mother. And I thought, oh, well, if you want to come and have dinner, email me. I said, I can have 35 people. I got 79 emails. So I had 35 of them over, and every year I do that. So last week I had 35 of these amazing people from all over the world who inspired me. And so every week I do something really, really different. Now, I've actually been asked to share my insights from the Women of the Future Awards. So I've set up the Asian Women of Achievements Awards, the Women of the Future Awards, the Global Empowerment Award, the Women of the Future Network, the Ambassadors Program, the Summit, and the Inspirational Educationist Award. So a real range of different things which I absolutely love doing. But I'd really, really like to just tell you a couple of stories. And my first one is the parable of the frog. I don't know if any of you have heard of the parable of the frog, but there's a group of frogs jumping through the forest, big group of them, and there was a big hole which some of them didn't see, and 3 of them fell inside the hole. And it was very deep, and they were trying to jump out, but they kept hurting themselves and trying to jump out. The other frogs were looking over and saying, you're dead meat, you'll hurt yourself, don't come out. So after a lot of jumping, 2 of them gave up and died. And the third one kept jumping and actually came out. And when he came out, they said, why did you carry on trying even though we told you it was dangerous? And he said, I'm actually deaf, I thought you were encouraging me. And for me, the reason I bring that up is that I myself, the one thing I need more than anything else is encouragement. And I think all women that I know, be it very senior or very junior, need that. But also the deafness. 10 years ago, I developed a very serious hearing problem, so I wear 2 very powerful hearing aids. And in spite of that, sometimes I don't hear the right thing. And I'm telling you this up front because I'll be sitting on the panel, and if you ask me a question, I may give a totally doolally answer, like the time when somebody asked me, how long does it take you to make a curry? And I heard, how long have you been in the country? So I said, 34 years. And he said, I'm not coming to your house for dinner. So that's my first. Now, the second story really is about, apparently there was this very, not a very unknown Sufi saint who came inside the gates of a kingdom and sat down in a gulistan. Now, gulistan is the Arabic word for a rose garden. And suddenly, the next morning, there came this message from the very powerful leader of that land, a delegation which came with a gift bearing a message. The gift was this pitcher full of milk to the brim. The message was, I have no place for rivals in this kingdom. The very wise, unknown Sufi saint was in the rose garden. He took some petals and he plucked them and he sprinkled them on the milk. And he said, go and tell your leader there's always space for fragrance. And I think that is what we need, is we need that little bit extra. The third story is actually about this. Several people, I've never carried a doll before in my life. I only got this yesterday, and today I brought it with me, and the amount of people who've come up and said, what a cute doll. Well, yesterday I was having lunch with the Duchess of York. I've only met her 2 months ago, and she's come to our award. She dressed up in a sari 2 weeks ago, which got us 100 pieces of coverage the next day, from the Daily Mail to the Evening Standard in her sari with Miriam Clegg in the sari. But she brought this doll, and very excitedly she gave it to me, and she said, This is Little Red. Apparently she invented it 10 years ago. She's only got 5 of these left. This is a little bag Little Red always carries, which she puts her hand in to draw out magic, to bring out things that we can't see in ourselves and others. And she dressed her up for me in a sari, which I thought was amazing, because she was coming and she said, I've brought Little Red for you, and if you can take it with you, wear it. So I said, I'm going to BT tomorrow, may I tell the story? And the last story I'd like to say, to pick up the insights, is 3 years ago my son decided that he was going to do an MBA at Oxford, and being a typical Asian mother, I said, I'm coming with you to have a look. And so he's like really embarrassed, but okay. So he goes around, and I'm thinking, oh, it'd be wonderful, he's going to do his, MBA at the Side Business School. And I get, oh gosh, I'm just looking at our timing. 4 minutes remaining, I don't have much time at all. And so he went in to look at Oxford, and I went all around. I went inside the head of department, or some department, then said, what do you do for women? And she said, why? And so I told her what I do, etc. And so, she was, I think, overwhelmed by my telling her all this. And my son came back, he got into Oxford, and I got an invitation to be the keynote speaker on the first day of term for the women and the women's alumni. So I go with him, and I said, don't tell anyone I'm speaking, because if I screw it up, nobody will date you. And so, anyway, I took my potatoes along, I made lots of friends, and actually, he's marrying a Chinese-American girl from his MBA class. And that, to me, began my collaboration with Oxford, which is why I am here today. So what are the insights that these stories tell me? And the main thing for me, my mantra is, you have not lived a perfect day unless you've done something for someone who can never repay you. So all the things I do, I try to do with that in mind, and it actually just enlarges my vision and brings me into touch with the most amazing people. So from the awards that I've done, I've learned how you have to open doors for others. And if you open those doors, others are constantly opening it for you. So next week, I'm taking the 10 winners from the Asian Women of Achievements Award to number 10 for tea with Samantha Cameron. And you have to ask for others. It's much easier for us to ask for other people than to ask for ourselves. So when the master of the household was a judge for the awards, and he said, I love these women, I'd love to spend more time with them, we have too little time, I said, I'll bring them to Buckingham Palace. So I take 40 young women to Buckingham Palace every year for tea. It changes their lives, so we can do that for others. The importance of really finding role models, finding inspiration, because I think that's what makes people aspire much higher, if they have the role models. For women, it's about self-belief. And so many of them really can do it, but they need others, so they need their champions. So I've set up this whole championship circle. And I think also to connect the dots and to bring that passion of what you do to every single person you meet. So for instance, Cressy Westling's an amazing entrepreneur who takes old fire hose pipes and recycles them, washes them, and makes them into luxury handbags. Ellen McPherson carries one of her handbags. I made her meet the woman who actually runs Oaxaca, Thomasina Mears, who's the chain Mexican street food restaurant. They were so impressed with each other. Cressy has now done in Charlotte Street, there's a new Oaxaca opening, and Thomasina asked her to do everything with recycled wood. And so the whole equation totally changes. So my real message to you, I've got 0 minutes left. They say, the thing is, again, you have to stop in 10 minutes. I'll tell you why, because research has shown that after that time, 20% of the audience start thinking of what they're going to do as soon as the talk is over. 20% are reminiscing. 12% are thinking of religion, and 17% are having erotic thoughts, and I can't let you have that. So I'd just like to say that since I didn't bring my potatoes here today, but I'll be very happy to welcome any of you into my home anytime you would like. So you can always drop me an email, and if you're anywhere near Purley and you want to have a demonstration of some potatoes and share some magic of how we can really add fragrance to each other's lives, to inspire, to bring passion, and to make that difference, and that's what it's all about. So thank you from Little Red and myself.